seeing this cat right now? He's so needy. Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Corie. We do all sorts of videos here on my channel. I'm a college student, I love makeup, I used to work at Sephora. I don't know what else to say. I'm becoming a teacher. I graduate in April. If you aren't already, please subscribe. I would love to have you join the family here. Today I'm going to talk to you guys about all of my favorite drugstore makeup brushes. Frankly, nowadays I use mostly drugstore makeup brushes to do my makeup. I have very few high-end makeup brushes, and that's because things have drastically changed in the makeup industry in the last 10 years. I feel like when I first started getting into makeup, the drugstores didn't really have very great makeup brushes. I mean, EcoTools had some, but I feel like there weren't a lot of great brands like Morphe. I mean, Coastal Scents was around, but I wasn't really aware of their makeup brushes at the time. I feel like there was a lack of good eye makeup brushes at the drugstore before, but I feel like I have some really great options to show you guys now. So let's just go ahead and get started. I'm gonna start by talking to you guys about makeup sponges because I really only use one makeup sponge nowadays, and it's the Real Techniques. Oh gosh, I was gonna like pull it out all dramatically. This is a brand new one because I'm not gonna show you guys my grungy makeup sponge. So this is the Real Techniques makeup sponge. This, I feel, honestly, I like this better than the typical beauty blender. I have not tried the Morphe beauty sponge, and I really don't see a reason to because I have to go to a specialty store to buy a new one of those, and with how often I have to replace my beauty sponges in order for it not to break out my skin and to keep it sanitary, I would much rather just be able to pick it up at my local grocery store, and I grocery shop at Walmart. So I love the Real Techniques beauty sponge. I actually really like the flat edge for putting on my foundation, and then I use the pointy side for my concealer, and then I use the side of it to put on my highlighter. So it's pretty perfect to me. So based on how dirty these makeup brushes are, you can tell that it came from my everyday mug for my makeup brushes. But most of what I use are Coastal Scents, Sigma, and Morphe eye brushes. Those are like the three that I use for eye brushes. Still feel like there's a little bit of a shortage of eye brushes at the drugstore because I really like the natural hairs to blend out my eyeshadow. I'm gonna include Sigma in this video because I do use a lot of their brushes, and when I was first getting into makeup, once I saved up enough money, I bought a Sigma brush set. This was like 10 years ago, and I still use the brushes because I'm not spending money. I hate spending money on brushes like that. I would much rather spend it on makeup. So I use a lot of the same brushes and I just wash them. Howard! So I'm going to include Sigma in this video, but I guess technically they're not drugstore, but you can find pretty much anything on Coastal Scents and Morphe, and those ones are definitely very inexpensive. So I really like the Coastal Scents, this is the 250 brush, and it's kind of the same shape as like a MAC 217 brush, just like a tapered blending brush. I love these. I have like 5 of these. And I also have one from Morphe that's the same shape. This one is an M433 brush. Really great for just like fluffing around. It's good for like an everyday crease. It's not gonna give you like a cut crease, but it's really good for every day to just lay a shade down in the crease. It's what I used to put the red in my crease today. I really love the Sigma E40 blending brush. This one is really great for transition shades and just blending out the crease area. My favorite lid shader brush is the Sigma Large Shader E60 brush. Really good for just covering the entire lid area. It's really easy to spray down with your setting spray in order to get a foiled look. As far as a blending brush, again, if you don't want to spend the money on the Sigma one, I do really love the Morphe M441 brush, and it's the exact same. It's just a tapered blending brush, great for transition colors. For a more precise crease area, I like the Coastal Scents BR-C-SO8 brush because that is like the simplest that they could get apparently, and it's just like a bullet crease brush. It's kind of dense and stiff, so it's really easy to get more precise, and it's pretty narrow, so you can really get in that crease area and be more precise with the colors that you're laying down. And then I also love the Morphe M514 brush, which is a little bit fluffier, but it's still long and tapered, so it's good for precisely blending out an area. Whereas like these tapered blending brushes are pretty broad, so you're blending out pretty much the entire eye when you use these ones. And I also wanted to include my eyebrow brushes in here that I use on an everyday basis, because when I am using my like Anastasia dip brow, I do not use an angled brush. I don't know why angled brushes just like freak me out and I cannot get them to work correctly. So I use the Morphe M432 brush every single day to do my brows, and it's just a squared off synthetic brush, and that's what I use to do my eyebrows with. And when I finally saw this brush, because for so many years I was using an artist brush, like a painting brush, to do my eyebrows, and it was this exact shape, and that was just the one that I loved the most, and that was what I wanted to use. And then I saw that Morphe actually made one, so I bought it. And then the spoolie that I use now is the Eco Tools spoolie brush, and this one is really great as well. Those are the specific eye brushes that I wanted to show you. I feel like with those you could really get a great eye look. Sigma and Morphe, they also have like a bunch of lid shader brushes. I only showed you the one large one, but both of those brands have great options. Okay, now I want to talk to you guys about face brushes, and all but one of the face brushes that I keep in my jar are drugstore. So, and most of the ones that I keep in my little brush holder are also drugstore, because I feel like the drugstore has really stepped up their game when it comes to face brushes, and I don't feel the need to spend a ton of money on really expensive face brushes anymore. And some of these, a lot of the face brushes that I really love are Real Techniques. So I'm going to talk about all of these first, all of the Real Techniques brushes that I want to talk about, because I think that Real Techniques has the best brushes, almost period. I would even venture to say that they're better than most of the high-end brushes that I own as well. And the reason I say that is because I have never had a Real Techniques brush shed a single hair. And I think that that is a hard feat to accomplish. I don't think that a lot of brands have that. And I love that their ferrule goes all the way to the top, so that when you're washing your brushes, you don't get the water inside the ferrule. It keeps the integrity of the brush stronger for longer. And I just think that they make a killer brush. So they are all synthetic, so if you like natural hair brushes, in my everyday jar, I keep the Real Techniques, what one is this? The powder brush. And I use this for bronzer, so I will contour specifically, and then I'll just kind of hit my forehead and my cheeks with like a shimmery bronzer just to kind of bring some life to my cheeks, and that's what I use this one for. I also really love the Real Techniques concealer brush. Is that what this one is? Oh. This one is all rubbed off. So this one is the Deluxe Crease Brush. I love this for face concealer, for blending it out. I think it does a really good job. It's really dense. I would never use this on my eye area, maybe to apply eye primer, but I really love this for blending out concealer. The Real Techniques setting brush, I love this. You can use it under your eye. I have a different brush that I really love for that, which I'll tell you guys about in a minute, but I really love using this to set my eye primer. So I just take a little bit of my translucent setting powder and I go over my eye area. It's big enough to get the job done in a short amount of time, but small enough to fit in the eye area. And lastly, what I'm currently keeping in my everyday jar is my Real Techniques contour brush. I love this for my bronzer. It fits in my cheeks really nicely, and this is the only contour brush that I've consistently used for a long period of time, because all of the other contour brushes that I've tried that are like a similar size, like this one, shed really badly, and then it just ruins my entire day. So I love this one. And I'm currently not using this blush brush, but this is one that I really like and I really love the shape of. But the Real Techniques blush brush is just a great shape for just sweeping a really soft color over the cheeks. So I would highly recommend this brush. It's not what I'm currently using, but I don't have one blush brush that I'm really obsessed with. I tend to rotate throughout. And those are all of the Real Techniques face brushes that I want to tell you about. The other two face brushes that I'm currently keeping in my everyday jar are the e.l.f. blush brush. Has always been my favorite powder brush. I used to use it for highlight. I used to actually use it for blush, but now it's my favorite powder brush. I like to powder my face in very small sections, so I pretty much only do under my eyes, a little bit on my forehead, and down the center of my face. So I don't use a really large powder brush like this anymore. If you are a large area powder person, I really recommend the e.l.f. powder brush. Really the only time I use this nowadays is if I'm wearing powder foundation. So I do still really recommend this brush, and I think you should buy this as well. But for me, I now only use the e.l.f. blush brush for powder, and I 100% recommend it. I've owned so many of these. It's just the perfect shape, and it's like $3. Why wouldn't you buy it? And the last brush that I keep in my everyday jar is the Morphe M105 brush, and it's their blush brush. And this is what I'm just currently using. It's what I use today, and it fits really well on the apples of the cheek, and I think this is a really great paddle blush brush, so I'd really recommend this one as well. And like I said, I do oftentimes use my Real Technique sponge to put on my highlight, but if you prefer a brush, I do really recommend the Morphe M510 brush. This is a really nice small brush to apply highlight with, or I use this for a lot of years. This is the EcoTools fan brush. I really liked how it's really dense. It just fits on the top of your cheekbone. It gets it done really fast and blends it out on its own. So I really love those two brushes as well. So I hope this was a helpful video for you guys. That is pretty much all of the brushes that I use on an everyday basis, and the brushes that I use to make my that I use on an everyday basis, the brushes that I use all the time. And I really think they're at a great price. So if you're trying to get into makeup and you're wondering where to look for affordable prices, I would say Morphe, Real Techniques, and Coastal Scents, and I would say Sigma too, because they have really high quality brushes. They are a little bit on the inexpensive side, but I still think that they're probably worth looking at, especially if you want to buy a set. Sigma has really great sets. So Morphe, Coastal Scents, Sigma, Real Techniques, and e.l.f. for some brushes. I would say that those are the places that you should look for really great inexpensive brushes. So I hope this was a helpful video for you guys. Let me know if you guys have any other recommendations for brushes that I need to try, because I'm always down. So again, if you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and hit that button down below. I'm so grateful for all of you guys that have subscribed to me recently. We're really growing, and I really appreciate every single one of you. And I will see you guys next week. Bye.